Hi, I'm Arizona State Planning Attorney Richard Keat. My son and I, Richard C. Keat, who graduated from ASU Law School and was a CPA before he went to law school, we're both Arizona estate planning lawyers. And what we do is we prepare wills, trusts, and related estate planning documents that are intended to protect your most valuable assets, which are your loved ones. Now, what I'd like to do is show you what you get if you hire us to prepare your estate plan. Now, one of the reasons people like to hire us to prepare their estate plan to protect their loved ones is because they see that we've had 359 five-star online reviews on Google, Birdeye, and Facebook. Now, what I'm going to do is show you the contents of the estate plan when people hire us to prepare their estate plan. The end result is this red portfolio that has all of your estate planning documents organized behind tabs. So let's take a look at what you get if you hire us to do your estate plan. Now, the first thing that you'll find is a little ID card that has the name of your trust and designates to you how you show third parties like a bank or an investment company to title assets in your trust. Because when you have a trust, it's important that you transfer ownership of your assets from yourself over to the trust so that they avoid probate if you die. Now, another document or another item that we give people is we buy a 5-year membership in this organization called DocuBank. DocuBank is a company that we give your living will, your healthcare power of attorney, and your HIPAA authorization, and they hold those documents on file 24/7. Then they give you this little ID card that tells you who your emergency contact person is. So if you're in an accident in Los Angeles and the hospital finds this ID card, they'll know who your emergency contact person is and the phone number to call. And then they can also contact DocuBank, and DocuBank will fax to the hospital all of your healthcare documents 24/7 just by following the instructions on this little ID card. Now, we did this estate plan for Homer and Marge Simpson. Unfortunately, they didn't pay us, so we still have their estate plan here. But this is the contents of our estate plan. Early on, you have a tab called Table of Contents. And on the Table of Contents, the text on the left side is the title of each tab in the book. On the right side is an explanation of each document found behind a tab. So I'm going to go to the tab called Estate Plan Summary. And here's where we give you a written summary of your estate plan. First would be your will and trust, and we also give you instructions about being a trustee of your trust, and then we give you a picture of your estate plan. So here we have husband on one side and wife on the other side, and then the top item in the middle is a living will, and that's a document that we prepare for you that says that you do not want to be kept alive by a machine if you're brain dead. So the living will is instructions from you to the doctors and the hospitals to pull the plug. Now, the second document here is the healthcare and mental health care power of attorney, and this is where you name somebody to make decisions for you if you're not able to talk to or communicate with your doctor. So if the doctor wants to know, do I operate or not operate, he's going to ask, or he or she is going to ask the person who's named first on your list under your healthcare power of attorney, should I operate or not operate, and then follow the instructions that that healthcare agent gives the doctor. Now, the next document that we give you is a HIPAA authorization. This is a document that gives your healthcare agents the right to get information about you from doctors and hospitals. Because there's a federal law called HIPAA that says the doctors and the hospitals can't randomly give out information about patients. So your HIPAA authorization gives written authorization to your agents to get information about you from doctors. Now, the next document we prepare is a financial power of attorney. And this is a document where you name somebody to make financial decisions if you're unable. So if you're in a coma, the person that you've named first in line on your financial power of attorney can write checks on your checking account, make your house payments, pay your car loan, and do anything necessary to deal with your financial affairs. Now, the next document that we give you is called Postmortem Wishes. It's not a legal document. It's optional. Some people fill it out, some don't. But on the Postmortem Wishes document, this is where you can tell your family what you want to happen if you were to die. Where you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want certain scriptures read at your funeral? Do you want a funeral? Do you want certain music played? Do you want to name your pallbearers? You can even write your obituary and tell your family what newspaper you want them to put the obituary in. Then we prepare a last will and testament for each client. And that document is called a pour-over will because all it says is that if you die and there's any assets that remain in your name after death, and if your family has to do a probate, then the result of the probate is the assets that were in your name after death will be put into your trust. Now, if you have minor children, your last will and testament is where you designate who you want to raise those minor children if both of their parents are deceased. And also in the will, you designate who you want to manage the assets of your minor children if both parents are deceased. In the bottom of our page here, you can see that a trust is the primary document in the estate plan. Now, when people do a trust, if they're married, we give them a diagram that shows the possibilities of what might happen on the death of the first spouse. So one option is there's only going to be one trust created and all the assets of the family are in that one trust and the surviving spouse has total control. Another option, frequently done when there's a marriage that has children from different marriages, is that they want the first spouse to die to have that spouse's assets go into an irrevocable trust where the ultimate beneficiaries of that trust can't be changed by the surviving spouse. And that's when we prepare the Q-tip trust. Now, there's also a third trust that sometimes is prepared called the family trust, but that's only prepared when people have large estates over $13,300,000 this year, which is the exemption amount for taxable estates. Now, here's an example of your living trust. This is the primary document of your estate plan. It's fairly easy to read, has a table of contents. We also prepare another document for you called Certification of Trust. And this is a document that's used more than most of the documents because sometimes when you're dealing with a third party might ask you for a copy of your trust, but you don't want to give a copy of your trust to the third party because it contains confidential information. So that's why you give the third party the certification of trust, because that document has everything that the third party wants to know. The third parties want to know what's the name of the trust, what's the date of the trust, what's the legal name of the trustees, and what are the powers of the trustees. So all that information is contained in the certification of trust. Now remember, we're also going to give you PDF copies of all your documents. So if somebody wants a certification trust, you can just email it to them as an attachment to an email. Now we give you another document called Funding Your Trust from A to Z. And this is a document that explains to you how you transfer assets to your trust. So all you have to do is look up the type of asset. You might have stock or you have incentive stock options. The Funding Your Trust from A to Z explains how you transfer assets into the trust, because the reason you have a trust is to avoid probate, but you don't avoid probate unless the trust owns your assets. So after you sign your trust, one of your short-term goals is to transfer ownership assets to the trust. Now, here's a tab called Trust Assets, and this is where we give you a document called Asset List. The asset list comes from a PDF file that we email to you. And what we want you to do is save that PDF file on your computer and then open it up. And this is where you make an inventory of your assets. And this is not for us. You don't need to give us an inventory of your assets. This is for your loved ones. Because ask yourself this question. If you are single and died today, or if you're married and both spouses died today, would your loved ones know everything you own and where to find it? Because if they don't know everything you own and where to find it, that means they will never get it. So it's important that you keep a current inventory up to date, let your loved ones know where they can find that, or you can even give them a copy of it. And this is a PDF fillable form, so you can update it from time to time, because over time you're going to buy and sell assets. And so it needs to be up to date. But the bottom line is, if your family doesn't know what you own and where to find it, then they're not going to get it if you die. Now here's your last will and testament. And this is a pretty straightforward document. Already described it. Here's another document we give you called Personal Property Memorandum. And this is a document where you can make gifts of personal items to a specific person. Let's say you have a ring that you want to go to a friend, or maybe a specific family member. Well, you describe the item here on the left column, and then to the right, you name the person who's to get that piece of property. So when you die, that asset doesn't go in your trust and doesn't get split up however your trust provides. on your death, the item that you've described on the personal property memorandum is given to the person that you've designated as the person to receive that personal property. Now we have a checklist in here. It's called death or incapacity checklist. And this is important if somebody, one of the trust makers, becomes incapacitated or dies. The family or the surviving spouse needs to look at this checklist because it's going to list a whole lot of things that need to be done as a result of the death of one of the trust makers. Then we do a financial power of attorney. And this is a power of attorney where you name somebody who can deal with your financial affairs if you're incapacitated. So if you're in a coma, you can't write a check. Your personal agent under your financial power of attorney, that person has the power to deal with your financial affairs. That person can sign your checks, can write a check, pay your credit cards, pay your house payment, pay your car payments. So typically when people are married, one spouse, the other spouse will be the agent, and then maybe a child would be number 2 in line. Or if you're not married, you can pick the person you want to be number 1 in line to make financial decisions if you become incapacitated. Then we do a healthcare power of attorney. This is where you name somebody who has the power to make medical decisions for you if you are incapacitated. So if you're in a coma and the doctor wants to know, do I operate or not operate? If you don't have a financial power of attorney, what if 3 family members say operate and 2 family members say don't operate? What's the doctor going to do? But when you have a healthcare power of attorney, you're designating the person who can make medical decisions for you if you're unable to communicate with the doctor. So in that case, the doctor's not going to ask the 5 family members, what should I do? The doctor's going to ask the person who's designated as the agent under the healthcare power of attorney, and then the doctor's going to follow the instructions that are given to him or her by the healthcare agent. Then we also prepare a document called HIPAA authorization, and this is a document that goes hand in hand with the power of attorney because there's a federal law called HIPAA that says that the doctors and hospitals can't give out information about patients unless they're authorized. And so the HIPAA authorization does authorize your healthcare agents to get information about you from the doctors and hospitals. Then if you have minor children, we can also prepare a healthcare power of attorney for minor children. But this is only good for 6 months, and it's only what we recommend is that people that are going out of the country and say leaving their minor children in the States, that they do a healthcare power of attorney for their minor children and name maybe the person who's taking care of the minor children while the parents are out of the country, give that person the ability to make medical decisions for their minor children. Then we prepare a living will. This is a document that's instructions from you to the doctors and hospitals. It says if you're being kept alive by a machine and you're brain dead, that you're instructing the doctors to pull the plug because you don't want the run-up unnecessary medical expenses when you're basically dead and you're not coming back. And also this takes that decision away from family members so they don't have the burden of having to make a decision. Do they pull the plug or not pull the plug? Because the family members don't make that decision. You make that decision in your living will. We sign you up with DocuBank. We give you your postmortem wishes document, which we talked about. We have other tabs in here. Life insurance, we want you to give your family information. If you do have life insurance, what's the company, what's the policy number, what's the address, how much is it, all that information. And so that's a quick overview of the 3-ring binder that we give you. Now, when we give you the binder, we also give you a little thumb drive. It'll be attached to the ring, one of the rings of the binders. And on this thumb drive, it has PDF copies of all your documents in the Red Book. So if you want to send copies to trusted people or family members, you can send them PDF copies of the documents that are on this little thumb drive. And one of the other things that we do is we give people a book that my son and I wrote called Family Asset Protection. And this is a kind of an overview of estate planning, and we recommend that you read it. We also have this on our website, and so we give you access to the hard copy version of it and the internet version on our website. Another thing that we give our estate planning clients is free changes to their estate planning documents in the first 90 days after they sign, because sometimes people don't read the documents in detail, but we want them to take a look at those documents after they get them. And then if there's any changes that they want to make, We make those at no cost. They're free to our client as long as they're done within 90 days after they sign their estate plan documents. We also give all of our estate plan clients a lot of follow-up emails. These emails remind them to do things like change their bank account over to the trust. Make sure if they have any LLCs that they own, those LLCs ownership is transferred to the trust. Reminding them to do things like notify their successor trustees and other family members that they have an estate plan and where the documents can be found. So we just give our clients a number of emails that go out over several months, reminding them to do follow-up things to make their estate plan in complete and proper order. Another document that we prepare for our clients is called Confirmation of Names and Fiduciaries. And this is a document where if you want to see who you've named as your successor trustees or your healthcare agents or your financial power of attorney agents, it's real easy to look at this document and it will show you who you've named for all your successor trustees and agents. Now, another thing we do is every 6 months after somebody hires us and signs their estate plan, we're going to send them an email reminding them that they should look at their confirmation of names to see if they want to make any changes. And we also tell them to look at the beneficiary designation and successor trustee sections of their trust agreement to see if they want to change their successor trustees or if they want to change their beneficiaries or what beneficiaries get that are set forth in the trust agreement. So every 6 months, basically, we're reminding our clients to check their estate plan to see if it needs to be updated. And then if they do need to update, we have an online questionnaire that we send them in that email. So they can easily just click on the link to that questionnaire and then tell us they want to change their successor trustees or they want to change their healthcare agents or whatever they want to do. And we make it real easy to update their estate planning documents. Another document we give people who have pets is a pet emergency card. And that's just a little card that has your name on it, your pet's name, and the type of pet. And then it has the name and contact information for the person who you want to be notified if you're in an accident. So if you are on a trip and you're in an accident and you're in the hospital and they see your pet emergency card, it'll say call so-and-so and tell that person that you're in the hospital and they need to go take care of your pets. So it's a way to have your pets make sure they're taken care of if something happens to you. Another document that we give our clients is called Successor Trustee Manual. And this is a book that's intended not so much for our clients, it's intended for the successor trustee. So in other words, if you name your child to be the successor trustee, if you were to die or if you're married and both you and your spouse die, then you'll have the successor trustee manual that you can give to that child who's going to be the successor trustee. And that book explains everything that person needs to know about being a trustee of your trust. So that's a list of all the services that we provide when people hire us to prepare an estate plan. It's very comprehensive, and we hope that you would see that it's something that you need to do to protect your most valuable assets, which, as I keep saying, are your loved ones. So if you want to do more, what we recommend you do is that you book a free consultation with either me or my son to talk about wills, trusts, and estate planning, get all your questions answered. And then if you want to move forward, design an estate plan that's going to carry out your wishes and protect your loved ones. The first step to hire us is to book a free online appointment using our calendar at the address or the URL below. But when you book a time for a free office meeting or a phone meeting or a Zoom video meeting, then we will have that meeting and we'll collect all the information we need to prepare your documents, learn about you and your family, learn about your concerns, and design an estate plan that's going to take care and protect your loved ones. So that's step number one, book a free consultation. And then shortly after our consultation, if you decide to hire us, by the way, there's no obligation. If you don't want to hire us, that's fine. That's your call. But if you do hire us, then a week later, we're going to have you come back and sign all your documents. And you'll get everything in the red book, including the thumb drive with PDF copies of all your documents. So if you do have any questions, though, whether it's book a consultation or just questions, call me or my son. We're happy to answer, and the phone numbers are below.